To get out of the deadlock of the election of 1876, Congress creates the Electoral Commission, and it passes what's known as the Electoral Commission Act of 1877. What it did was it created a 15-man commission to study the situation and make a recommendation. 5 members would come from the House of Representatives, 5 members would come from the Senate, and the final 5 would come from the Supreme Court. Now, the Democrats were in control of the House of Representatives, so they sent a majority Democrats. 3 Democrats, 2 Republicans. The Senate was still controlled by the Republicans, so they sent 3 Republicans, 2 Democrats. So basically, of those 10, you have an even 5-5. The tiebreaker is going to be with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court was going to send 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, and 1 swing vote. 1 person that does not identify with one party or another. That 1 person would be David Davis. He was a justice who was identified as being an independent. He was not identified with either party. At this moment, Illinois happened to have its U.S. Senate seat open. The state legislature back then chose the U.S. Senator. The Democratic Party controlled the state legislature of Illinois and thought that the big opening would be filled by David Davis, this swing vote. And he would be so appreciative, he would vote in favor of the presidency for Tilden. But the idea backfired. As soon as he was elected to the Senate, Davis promptly resigned his Supreme Court seat. Thus, we have 1 more opening still on this commission. And there's going to be the man that will replace him is named Joseph Bradley, a Republican. So the commission wound up to be 8 Republicans, 7 Democrats. The Electoral Commission voted to give all 20 disputed votes from the election of 1876 to Hayes. This gave Hayes 185 electoral votes. All the decisions were based on were a party line vote, 8-7. Tilden was essentially being robbed of the presidency. The commission stated that the states decided how their votes are cast, and they were not going to second guess their decision. Now, this isn't over. Remember that the commission's decision was only a recommendation. So how are you going to make Democrats stomach this type of decision? A compromise was needed. And thus, the Compromise of 1877 was born. And basically what it did was it allowed the South, allowed Democrats to feel better about accepting a Hayes victory. And it had 3 different provisions. Number 1, the Republicans agreed to remove the last of the soldiers from the 3 unredeemed states of South Carolina, Florida, and Louisiana. Basically, these states would be redeemed. Second, Hayes would promise to put a Southerner on the cabinet who was responsible for doling out federal jobs. Spoil system all over again. Finally, the Republicans promised to see that the South would receive money to rebuild it from the aftermath of the Civil War. This deal was inked on March 2nd, 1877. Inauguration Day was March 4th, 1877. The Compromise of 1877 simply ended Reconstruction as a process, and these last 3 states were redeemed.